It's Bourbon Night live. How's everyone doing? Welcome in. This just in. Sarah's not here. She's not late. She's not here. She's not in the building. She is away. Someone gave her the night off, the weekend off actually. I don't know who that was. I'm gonna have to check with corporate. But she's not here. Got stuff in the shot. I'm not used to being in the center of the frame, you know. But no worries. We have a guest tonight. Actually, a co-host. That's actually how we're framing it now. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring him right in. Really wish I had like an announcer over that intro music. Really trying to make this seem like a late night show, but I'm a one-person band here, so there we go. But all right, please welcome to the show. You know him as the host of Bourbon Pursuit podcast and the co-founder of Pursuit Spirits. He's one of the C's in Cecil and Coleman. Sorry, he is a Kentucky native. And please welcome to the show, Ryan Cecil. Come on in, Ryan. Hello. Let me unmute you.
Hey. Hello.
There you are.
Happy Sunday night for everyone. Hopefully we're curing the Sunday scaries, or at least delaying them. You know.
Delaying them a little bit.
Case of the Mondays for everyone.
Okay, yeah, I was a little scared this morning when I woke up and saw a different time on the clock than what was on my cell phone. I was like, what's going on here? And then I remembered we still do that thing.
Yeah, it's nice until you have children, and then they don't, my kids, they don't realize you get to sleep in an hour, so they wake up it's an hour earlier, for...
Yeah, yeah.
It makes it even tougher. So I had my mother's 60th birthday party at our house last night. And I was trying to get them out the door, but they wouldn't leave till like midnight. So, 6:30, 7 o'clock came early this morning for us.
Jeez. Oh, man.
Good time. I did like that intro, though. That was like a late night show.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I picked I picked that music because I thought it was kind of late night-ish. I had this other graphic for the one other time this happened, but I couldn't find it. It had I actually called it "It's Bourbon Tonight," because when we first started the show, some people would mishear us or misremember the name and say "It's Bourbon Tonight." I was like, yeah, it kind of sounds like a talk show. So last time I did this, I had "It's Bourbon Tonight" like in the crescent moon. I had "Tonight" written in the crescent moon, and I was going to bring that graphic back, but I think I overwrote it or something. I'm usually pretty good at that stuff, but I couldn't find it. So I was like, screw it. I'm not making that again. I'm sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. We'll manage without. What's Sarah doing tonight?
I think we'll be okay. She's on a girls' trip. She's out of town. She's in South Carolina. Yeah. For the people who follow us on Instagram, you've probably been seeing some stories of some bourbon bars that she's been in and cocktails she's been having. Sounds like they're having a great time. And
she's not missing
She's not missing me. She's not missing me one bit. And I've never been lonelier. No, I've been having a great weekend to myself. And it's been going good. I love it. But thank you for agreeing to come on and steer this ship with me, because, God, by myself. I mean, can you relate or not? If you were to host a Bourbon Pursuit just by yourself, would you attempt it?
I have attempted it and never goes as well.
Oh, you have?
I think
I haven't heard any of those.
They were one of the early ones, and I would have like my questions like written down, and I would go through them like in the first like 10 minutes and be like, oh crap, what do I ask now? And
yeah,
it was just early on when you're not comfortable like asking people questions and going with, now I'm pretty good at getting in the flow of conversations and knowing what to talk about. But without Kenny there, it really depends on your guest, because sometimes you ask somebody a question and then they're like, give you a one-word answer, and you're like, crap, I was hoping that would take up like 5 to 7 minutes, and that only took up like 20 seconds. And so, yeah, I can totally relate.
Well, at least then you...
Okay. I was just gonna say, the thing is doing those Instagram lives, and you're just like talking to a camera, and you're like, there's no one like back at you, and you're like, this is so strange.
Right. At least then you have the comments to read out, and with interviewing someone, at least that's a conversation. Like, if you weren't here, it would be like one of those Instagram lives. I would have the chat, but it would, there's a delay before it gets the chat to you. So you ask a question, and you're like, "Please, someone type something quickly."
That's what I've always respected about when I watch you all and Mash and Drum. It's like and like ADHD and how you keep up with comments. Like when we do podcasts, I don't have to worry about that, and
Right? Yeah.
my ADD mind will just like forget about it, and so I respect that talent that you can remember to go jump back in and comment, read the comments and talk to people and stuff. So I'll do my
Yeah.
best tonight.
Yeah. I've already been asked if I'm wearing pants. I am wearing pants, sweatpants. 'Cause, it's the weekend. Who am I got? Who would I have to impress? Nobody. That's who.
Right.
So I want to go ahead and get something in our glass. One, because speaking juice, it helps us all, and two, because this is to let people know this can be very loose, just us kind of hanging out, shooting the shit as it is. Got a few things we want to talk about, but the only kind of structure when we're talking about doing this, as I said, bring 3 bottles tonight. They can be any bottles, but they each have to have a reason why you brought them. So why don't we start with your first one, Ryan? What did you bring, and why did you bring it?
Okay, so my first bottle I brought was an Old Elk weeded bourbon pick that I did with the guys from Breaking Bourbon, Blake from Bourboner, Sealbox, and Kenny and I did with. We picked it in January, and I've been really the reason I picked it. I've just been like, I keep going back to it. It's one of those that's like, obviously when you pick single barrels, you're like, oh, that's a good one, but it's just an interesting one that keeps like changing every time I open it. And Old Elk's been a great story of success. And when they first started, they started sending us whiskey when it was around 4, and they were like, we really just want your honest feedback. Greg and Luis, their CEO, which is one of the best CEOs in the business, and then they had this sales rep, Alex Cottle, and they really wanted our honest feedback. And we, to be fair, we were like, none of it's ready. We're not, and they just were,
and they kept talking to you,
and they kept talking to you. They appreciate the
That's
feedback,
good.
and they kept the communication open. And about every 6 months to a year, they kept sending stuff, and some of their stuff started turning 5 and 6, and we were like, okay, I think y'all are ready. And then they're like, why don't you come? And so we picked some barrels, and those were some weeded whiskey ones. The bourbons still were kind of had some grainy notes to it, some youth notes. But this last time we went, the bourbons had really started to take really good flavors, and this weeded bourbon is, and a lot of people have had, compare these, try to compare them to the Weller 107s and whatnot, because they're, hard to come by. And so they kind of shifted to these, but they are making some fantastic products, and you can get it pretty easily. It's, in most states, and you can find it on the shelf. I want to say it's like, I don't know, $50-ish, 55. So
Yeah, I don't have the
that's
weeded
why I picked
one.
it's.
Yeah,
They
this
have
one I
like
paid
5 or 6 ones.
$47.99 back in 2020 for this one. It's just their blended straight bourbon whiskey, so that I guess
Yep,
the weeded one says weeded on it.
it does. Yeah, it says
Yeah.
it just says weeded bourbon on it.
Okay. Yeah, so this one's probably just a regular old rye bourbon, but aged 5 years, age statement on the back.
That
Well,
one
that's cool.
actually is. So it's a blend of. They have like a high malted. It's a bourbon, but it's got more malted barley content in it, and then and I think it's a blend of that with the weeded bourbon and the high rye bourbon. It's like 2 or 3 different ones, and then um, they have those individual recipes as single barrels, and then the weeded whiskey and the rye whiskey. Um, but yeah,
Okay.
that's why I chose it.
Nice.
I just
Nice.
like seeing them grow up and seeing them go through the process.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Don't want to fall behind on our super chats here, so I'm going to bring one up here from Michael S. So we We just saw, was it that just last weekend at the meetup? I've been married 30 years, and it's as important to enjoy your time apart as much as your time together. Like when I came to see y'all last weekend. Last weekend, okay, thank you, Michael. Yeah, it was just last weekend. So, cheers to you on that, Michael. And I think, yeah, that's ours. You are our first super chat of the evening. Appreciate that. Give you a little boom to you.
How'd your all's event go? It looked like you had a good turnout.
Yeah. What is this? What's happening? Like a hair in my face all of a sudden. It was really good. Great, awesome group of people. Did some great things. One thing we'll talk about later, because I know what your 3 pours are, and one of yours kind of tied into what we did last week. So we'll wait for that. But yeah, awesome, amazing time. A lot of those people here that were at the meetup are in the chat right now. Actually, great to see you all. I went and poured, because like I said, I don't have the weeded one. I went and poured my first one, which is called Wild Catter. And
yeah, you got to tell me about this.
Since there's only one face here, I can actually do this. When Sarah's here, I always have to be like, hide your face so it'll focus. Not the prettiest label in the world at all. I would venture to call this kind of ugly. But it is a 8-year age state of Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It's 90 proof, and it's around $35. I've had this bottle for a while, but I see this in Total Wine. I see it at Liquor Barn. It's sourced. It's one of those elite brands out of Fairfield, California, but it's Kentucky juice sourced. I have no idea. I tried to find where. There's not even any speculation. Judging by the taste.
It's probably
I think it might
Barton. Be. If it's 8 years old, there's about 102% chance it's Barton.
I was thinking it could be Heaven Hill, because there is a little slight nuttiness to it, but it's more than likely Barton.
It could be, because there was, about so. I guess that would have been 2019. There was, quite a bit of, 5-year Heaven Hill barrels that came on the market, in the broker market. The way Heaven Hill, I don't know if they still do it this way, but the way they used to sell their bourbon was distributors would pay. They'd basically say, "Hey, we know we're going to sell X amount of Evan Williams, Elijah Craig," and they would pre-buy their barrels, and so they would pay them at new make cost, and then sit them in the warehouse, and so Heaven Hill would get cash up front, then the distributor would get them at a cheaper price, and then when they became ready to bottle, they would bottle them. But some particular distributors saw the bulk market and saw how much people were paying for barrels on the bulk market, and so they decided, instead of bottling, we can make a lot more money selling to brokers and whatnot. So that's one interesting way that some of these barrels make it to market. It doesn't happen much more today, because all these distilleries need as much of their own liquid for their own brands. But back then, that's what they used to do to get cash flow in the door.
Yeah. But it's, I picked this one. I guess I didn't say that part. Because it's one of those. I mean, you said you haven't had it, right? I feel like it's it's one that a lot of people overlook it, because, as I said, it's not the prettiest label. It just kind of gets lost, but it's stuck around that price for as long as I can remember, since I've had this bottle. 8-year, age stated 90 proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Not bad. I would say it. I would, if in place has it for like 40 or more. Oh, I know why this was on my mind, because we went to Austin, Texas, which, Kenny, is he still in Texas? Yeah, he's getting back from a Texas trip,
right now.
Yeah. We were there a month or so ago for the Bastards Ball, and we did a little bourbon hunting, and I saw this bottle at a shop for like $25 at a for sale, sale sticker on it. I was like, $25 or might even been less. I don't know. It's in the video. The video we put out about it. I included that clip in there, and I was like, wow, that's a deal for 8-year-old, Kentucky bourbon. That's quality. If it wasn't, then wouldn't be talking about it. But it's actually pretty good, especially for 90 proof.
Yeah, 8-year-old bourbon now. Kentucky is $200.
Yeah, exactly. So watch this change prices tomorrow because I have that much influence. Yeah, right. No. That is kind of something that kind of leads me to a topic I want to talk about because I was listening to your all's podcast the other day, and you're doing some bourbon news, and you're talking about the new 2022-03 Bookers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those situations where I was like trying to talk back to you guys, but you couldn't hear me because you all were like, "Have they always had the age on the label?" If you remember that, and I was like, "Yes, I mean since like 2015, yeah." But yeah, the last two have been over 7 years, and the last two, the '02 and the '03, have been Sarah and mine's favorite for like a long time. So if you see them and you're thinking about getting a Booker's, the '02 or the '03 are pretty fantastic. We've got a review of the '03 coming out on Tuesday, actually, and like I know you said you're a fan of Booker's. You've got the Bardstown collection. For people that don't know, Ryan, you were born in Bardstown, right? You born and raised in Bardstown.
Well, I necessarily wasn't born there, but so my family is from. It's called a town called Howardstown, which it's in Nelson County, so it's like about 30 minutes south of Bardstown. But grew up around there, then moved to Bardstown in grade school, middle school, and so pretty much yeah. But
pretty much
I can't say I was born there, but
right,
it's
close enough. We'll allow it.
But it was funny. So it was my mom's 60th yesterday, and my uncle Patrick owned a wood shop, and they make. Well, he sold the company, but he makes the boxes for Booker's. That was his business. He made cabinets for.
Awesome.
He made custom cabinets his whole life, and Booker was one of his customers, and he made cabinets for him. And then when he was coming out with Booker's, Booker thought, how can we jazz this up? And he was like, I love your woodworking. And so that's how the Booker box came in. So I think the first Booker's release only had like 10,000 bottles or something. And now it, when he sold, it was doing like hundreds of thousands of bottles, each batch.
This is the oldest Booker's that I own. I think it's a '98. So it's back when they still had the wooden thing on it. So do you think this was like, I don't know how long he was making it for them?
Yeah, he just sold it about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. So, then
yeah. But we were talking through because he has every single Booker's up until because Booker and then Fred would just give him a bottle of every batch, and he has some like crazy and we were talking last night about what our favorite Booker's was, and because he still has like a couple of the 10 years left and the 25s and 30s and then some of the early ones with the older label, and I was like, that 25th Booker's is still my that's probably one of my top 5 whiskeys ever.
Oh yeah, it is. We, by the grace of the gods, were gifted a 25th just recently. About within the last year, and you're not lying. You're not lying.
Yeah, funny story about that bottle was. So we went to Jack Rose's in D.C. a weekend, me and my brother-in-law, and we were
still haven't made it out there.
We were having a great time at Jack Rose's, but University of Louisville was going to play Alabama in football, and they wouldn't turn on the game because there was a bunch of Notre Dame fans watching Michigan. They were playing Notre Dame, Michigan. And I was like, well, I guess we'll just go next door. And so we went next door to this like Irish bar and they had a bottle of Booker's 25th behind the bar. It was about halfway empty, and I was like, how much a pour for that? And she's like, I don't know. Nobody's ordered that in 10 years. And she's like, we don't even have it in the system. And I was like, she's like, we'll sell it to you for $10 a pour. I said, we will buy the entire bottle. So we bought the entire bottle, drank the entire thing, and I'd never been. I got so sick that night. Like,
Worth it though, right? Worth
It
it?
was so worth it. Yes, it was
Yes.
great, but
Oh my
it's crazy. You go to Jack Rose's, the like pinnacle of whiskey, and then you go next door and drink a Booker's
god.
25th for ten
Because
dollars a pour.
at Jack Rose, that probably would have been, what would you say,
Oh,
$100 a
$200 a
pour,
pour, or yeah.
200. Jeez. Uh, Another super chat here. The Tiffany saying, Chad, I got the Barbie Dreamhouse pink whiskey glasses in the mail this week. Now Kevin and I have Ken and Barbie whiskey glasses. I'll send a picture. Yes, please do, Tiffany.
Yeah, I
So
want to see that.
they were on the meetup, and we took a bus to Bardstown one day to go to BBC, and we did some door prizes on the way down. So we handed out numbers, and it was sort of like it had a mystery bag, and the first couple ones were like bottles, and like, do you want to keep the bottle or trade for the mystery bag? And I think Tiffany, yeah, she was first. She's like, yeah, I want to trade for the mystery bag. I was like, all right. It's Barbie branded rocks glasses. Like, no joke. They make Barbie, a kid's toy, branded rocks glasses. But she loved them, and they had Ken actually on the bottom of the glass. And then she got on Amazon and ordered the Barbie version. So now she has. So yeah, I want to see pictures. I want to see pictures of that, Tiffany. That's awesome.
I'm sure Discus would love that.
Yeah, no kidding. But I think I was going somewhere with that Booker's thing. But see, this is the best part about just hanging out, just hanging out and drinking.
On it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then that these two batches have been pretty stellar.
I want to get my second thing in the glass just because I ran out of my first. But I kind of wanted to get your opinion on what you think Jim Beam or James B. Beam, kind of what they're doing recently, because I don't know if you all had the Little Book Chapter 6 yet. Have you tasted that?
The different toast and is that what it is? The different it's like
it's all like
whiskey and different malt toasteds and stuff.
Yeah, some pretty young stuff. Yeah. Not our favorite. And then we got our barreled and boxed in the mail, and if you take the price of that, this is basically $100 bottle for a 375. Is this a 375?
It looks like it.
Yeah, I think it is. It seems like, and then with the Colonel James B. Beam and the whatever they're called,
the Hardin's Creek.
Thank you.
Yep.
That stuff, like the younger things, higher prices type of thing going on with Beam. And then a lot of people have said Booker's hasn't been what it's been recently. The last two releases excluded, but what do you think's going on over at Beam?
Yeah, I think this comes down to just Freddie scratching Freddie's like creative itch. It's like, all right, we have Knob Creek, which is stellar, always. We have
That's Sarah. Sarah's actually here. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I won't let him open it.
I won't do it. I won't do it.
You got Knob Creek, which is a great, everyday bourbon you can always get. And then you got the 15, the 12, the 15, and now 18, if you want something special off that. And then, you got these Booker's batches, and then what does that leave, I guess, creative-wise for Freddie and Little Book? It's like, what do you do? I mean, I guess you could just put another 10 to 15-year-old whiskey and charge, more money, but I don't know. I think that's what it is. I think it's just him letting him get his creative outlet and see what sticks. I did like the Hardin's Creek one that was surprisingly the 2 to 3 year old.
Oh yeah, I did too. I thought for its young age, I thought it tasted very mature, but I think as with a lot of people, it was that price tag. Mm-hmm. If you knock half of that off, okay, I can get on board. But yeesh. So you think?
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
since they're both master distillers now, Fred and Freddie, do you feel like Fred is still just doing Booker's because his connection with his dad Booker, and Freddie is really just concentrating on the newer stuff and the little book, or do you think there's any crossover? Like Freddie's also dealing with the Bookers, or are they kind of compartmentalizing?
Yeah, I don't know that Fred's, to be honest, that much involved in the process really anymore. I know
Mm,
he spends a few days at the distilleries talking and meeting people. That's what he loves. But I'm almost positive is. I'm sure if they wanted his input, they're always going to take it. But
yeah.
he's been trying to retire and spend more time at Barren River, where they got a lake house and whatnot. Um,
Mm,
so it's pretty much Freddie's role now, and I think most of the team probably has input on the bookers and whatnot. And Freddie's obviously going to give, but I think Little Book is like in this new kind of craft distillery that they've built is kind of they're looking towards the future of like, okay, what can American whiskey be? Bourbon's already popular, but what can American whiskey be outside of bourbon? I guess
mm-hmm.
because a lot of these um, American whiskey has so much room to grow, and bourbon's still growing, but I think there's so much room. And if you're going to convert Scotch drinkers to bourbon, you kind of have to bridge that gap. And so I think that's why you see all these kind of more malt based kind of experiments and recipes, because it's kind of this is just me speculating. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying this is their strategy at all, but I would anticipate that if you're going to try to convert Scotch drinkers to bourbon, which that's the goal, because Scotch is still crushing bourbon
Yeah.
worldwide, that you kind of need to bridge the gap, to kind of get them there, So
Mm-hmm.
that's just me purely speculating, and it's like they got it dialed in, it's you can't screw up that Jim Beam mash bill at six to
Yeah.
6 to 12 years, 6 to 14 years old is magical. I mean, it's
It
it's
is.
consistently good, and it's like how creative can you get? And it's one of those don't broke, don't fix it thing. And so I think
Yeah.
this Little Book, but the pricing thing is interesting. I still think bourbon's trying to figure out its place in the it's this premium product, but it was built on not being a premium product, and they kind of have this identity crisis.
True.
So I think they're just kind of seeing, because $80 to us growing up around it is like holy shit. I remember buying my first Parkers at $75 a bottle, and that was for a 27-year bourbon, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like I'm breaking the bank, and
I'm a big shot now.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and
No kidding.
but some buyers, and will just say $80, that's nothing, It's
Yeah.
so
Well, you
that's
you were talking about the can't fail Jim Beam, between that 8 and 12 year range, and I agree with that. But every year since Sarah and I started this channel, we do a blind best of the year contention where we take our favorite things and blind score them at the end of the year, and there's always been a batch of Bookers in there, except
mhm.
2021. All four of those, we didn't feel a single one of them was worthy of making it in there. So like 2021, we were like, are all these people who have been kind of talking bad about Bookers, are they right? Like, has it
Right.
gone downhill? Plus, with the 2021 is when around here we finally started feeling that price increase that everyone else was feeling for the past several years. And then now with this '02 and '03, it's two of the best batches that we can remember since we started. And you kind of have to think like, I guess just the bourbon drinker in me and a lot of people want to put a reason to things. And so you start asking yourself like, is it because Freddie is now, so if Fred is more just sort of like the face and not really pulling a lot of levers behind the scenes, is it Freddie who's stepping in? Are they hearing feedback? Are they correct? Because these last two have both been over 7 years, whereas the past 5 years. It's always been like 6 years and some months. It's never
Right.
quite been over that 7. Now the last 2 releases have been over 7 years. This last one being the oldest. Like, is that a coincidence, or, can we put a reason on that? And I don't know. We don't work there, so we don't know. But it's interesting to talk about and think about.
It is encouraging if they are listening to us to make this. And I think they do. Just like when the first price increase, the people revolted and they kind of dropped it, back down there for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's up to in the $90 range. That's the hard part is, Booker's was at 60 was like, okay, I can wrap my head around this all day, no problem.
Completely.
But when you get to 90, you're like, okay, you better bring something special every time at 90 for me anyways.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in that $100 mark, you got to have something really good, not just a 6-year-old, cash drink small batch.
Right.
Because you can get some. That's the hard part about bourbon is like that $40 to $75 range is so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's only incrementally better, at 100. And so if you're gonna be in that 3-digit figure, you got to really bring it for me to take notice, anyways.
Yeah.
I guess I've just been burned so many times.
No, I hear you. So I put a poll up in the chat a couple minutes ago. Let's go ahead and end it. It just said Booker's, yay or nay. We got 60% saying yay, 40% saying nay. Okay, yeah. We have our next super chat was actually a question for you, Ryan. Question for Ryan: are all the Pursuit whiskeys at 108 proof? Both my bourbon and rye are. And how did you arrive at that proof? Cheers. Cheers, Lil Chad, which is Lil Chad right here. Thank you, Joey Tony Bag of Donuts.
So, yes, they are 108. And the way I landed on those is, so we knew when we were doing this project, we wanted something that whiskey geeks could appreciate, and also somebody just getting into it you could put it on ice or on water and it wouldn't fall apart. So for me, I knew that was going to be somewhere between 100 and 110 proof. And so when I was making blends, we don't have a hydrometer because they're about $50,000 and
they're very expensive. Yes.
And so I would call up my buddy Drew over at Willett, and anytime I would come up with a blend that I liked, I'd said, "Hey, can you proof this?" And so I went there and I was like, "I think this is the final blend that I want to do for our bourbon." We did the bourbon first, and I proofed it, and he said, "You're gonna love this." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "It's 108. It's not 107. It's not 101. It's not 110. It's 108. So you can be." And somebody said something the other day at a whiskey event. They're like, "It's 1 proof better than Weller 107." But anyway, not that that's the case, but I thought that was a good line. But that's purely by chance. It's what I thought it tasted the best at. And then so when we did the rye, I did the same thing. And I don't know if that's what I like is 108 proof bourbon, but I randomly landed on that again when we did the rye. So so we're like, all right, it works at 108.
Oh, I love it. You could always get Kenny to do a TikTok with one of those $50,000 proofer things, and just like that $300 ice ball maker, I'm sure he'd recoup the money right there from the TikTok stuff. Just go ahead and do it. Don't even worry about it.
We just need The Rock to repost it.
Yeah. He'll be like, "Oh, this is right up my alley," is what he would say. I don't know.
Except this time we would have a Pursuit bottle instead of Elijah Craig barrel proof in it.
There you go. Yeah. So T. Jarrett saying, I've not had the opportunity to try Pursuit yet, but I've only heard good things. Well, hopefully Kenny will come to your neighborhood on a tour. You ever going to go out on one of those tours, Ryan?
Yeah. So, well, I was with Kenny in some, like I did some stores in I did some Tennessee. I was in East Tennessee while he was in West Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
So he planned this tour without asking me any input. And so, because
Great
September and
partnership.
October, yeah, no, it's totally fine. But uh, so my busy, some I don't do this full time. We still have a real job, so I own a lawn care business as well. And our busiest time is September and October because of seeding. And so he kind of planned this road trip during those, and I was like, "Well, I guess you just must want all the attention because I won't be able to come with you." And it
He had
it
shirts
worked
printed
out.
off that said Kenny on tour. I was like, wow, that's a bold move. Yeah, it was weird. No, I'm kidding.
He likes that
Uh,
story.
yeah. Well, since we're talking about Pursuit United and everything that you guys do, because we're getting some chat here about people who have tried it or haven't or want to. I saw someone ask your all's distribution. Um, I guess just go ahead and give us the elevator pitch for those who aren't familiar with Pursuit Spirits.
Yeah, so Pursuit Spirits was started. Obviously, the way we got here today was through the podcast Bourbon Pursuit. We had the great opportunity of interviewing the best of the best in the industry, and after doing that for 4 to 5 years, we've learned, just being after being curious and learning so much, and with some help from others, we decided to start our own brand, and so we started out doing single barrels to get started. And so it's funny, when we first started this venture, we were like, if we could just sell 24 barrels a year, that's all we need. That's we'll be content with that. And so the first year we actually ended up selling, I think, like more than 24. And so we're like, okay, we need more barrels. And then the next year we sold even more. And then so we were like, we got to start a small batch because these single barrels are a pain in the ass. They're a lot of fun, but they're hard to do from a logistics standpoint. And two, at the time, aged whiskey was harder to come by on the source market. And so we were like, we have to create a small batch product. And so we went out, and I had this idea that, okay, well, how do we want it to be? Do we want it to be MGP? Do you want it to be Barton? Because that's what most people do when they're starting a brand. And I was like, there's just so many MGP brands or squid brands now. But that just didn't excite me. And I thought we need to do something interesting and unique. So because of the podcast, we get sent a lot of whiskeys to review, and we were starting to try a ton. And there were some that we really liked from different distilleries across the country. And we thought, well, how cool would it be? Because we have a national audience and we think American whiskey's growing. And obviously I'm a Kentucky boy. We want Kentucky bourbon in there, but if we blended different mash bills from different states and put them together and called them United. And so that was our concept was, let's get different mash bills from different states, different distilleries, blend them together to create unique flavor profiles that you can't get from other bourbons or ryes out there, because most bourbons are one mash bill aged, in 20 different warehouses, then blended together. And they do a fantastic job at that. And we'll never compete with that, and we'll never beat them at what they're doing, but we can try to outblend them. And I think that's where we have a unique opportunity with this concept. And we think the future of American whiskey is in the blend, and in bourbon too. Blend's kind of a dirty word because of what happened in the 60s and 70s, and trying to answer with vodka. They blended a lot of light whiskey with neutral grain spirits, but we're trying to go back to just blending straight bourbons, not adding anything, no coloring, no filler. It's all just pure blending. So that's what Pursuit United Bourbon and Pursuit United Rye. So we partner with, on the bourbon, we have Bardstown Bourbon Company makes 2 bourbon mash bills for us. We have a distillery in Tennessee that makes an 80-10-10 bourbon mash bill for us. Then we have a distillery in New York called Finger Lakes that makes a 70-20-10 wheated bourbon for us. And then our rye, we partnered with Sagamore Spirits to make 2 rye mash bills for us. And then we also have Bardstown Bourbon Company making a rye mash bill for us. And so that's what we have in kind of our spice rack of different mash bills, different flavors that we can really create unique proprietary blends that can't be replicated out there. So That was probably longer. We had a tall
No,
elevator there.
no, all
Maybe
good.
30
I
floors, but
I needed the time because I was looking for my bottle, which I still didn't find. Full bottle. I found our samples here and that and the rye. But we have. I have floor whiskey. You know, I think we all have this problem.
oh yeah, we've got bottles
I'm in the
everywhere.
process of building new shelves. We have things sort of organized by distillery, but when we have newer distilleries such as you guys, they kind of just get put somewhere until the new shelves get built, and then everything gets put in order. So I don't know where the actual bottle is, but I'm a
It's all
bad
right.
host.
I got one here, I guess.
There you go. I mean, God, if you
I
didn't,
got
if
one
you're
on
like,
the
yeah, I don't have any either, I'd be like,
Here's
Ryan.
bourbon, which is like a kind of rust orange, and then the rye is this nice green, obviously because it's rye.
I really like your latest because you had to switch. Correct me here, but you had to like switch distilleries because of something, or you went more with Bardstown, or
No,
there was
so
some
what
little.
happened? Yeah, so Bardstown Bourbon Company is making 2 bourbon mash bills for us. So on the first 2 batches, we used one mash bill, which was a 78-10-12 mash bill, and that's almost identical to what Heaven Hill uses in Elijah Craig. That's one of my favorite
Yeah,
mash bills, and that's what I wanted them to make for us
it's a good
because
one.
I love Elijah Craig, love Heaven Hill. Now we're differentiating it by doing different aging it in different char levels and whatnot. So we have chars 3 and 4 and 1 chars. And so we're kind of experiment that way with. So, anyways, we had 4 and 5 year old whiskey of that 78-10-12 for the first 2 batches, but we did not. There's that we kind of have a gap, I guess, between this that when it's ready, the 78-10-12. So we used the other mash bill, which is a 75-21-4 mash bill, which is kind of close to like a Wild Turkey Four Roses mash bill, a higher rye. And
Yeah,
so this batch 7cc had that 75-21-4 match bill, which was higher rye, and 2 they were
that's
coming off
what it
the
was.
top floor. They were coming off the top floor of the warehouse. So like on the first 2 batches, the 78-10-12 barrels from Bardstown Bourbon Company were coming in at proof at around 118. These 75-21-4s were coming in at like 127, 131. So they were really high proof. And so it really pushed me as a blender to kind of tame those down, and
Yeah,
because it was so aggressive that I really had to. I kind of had the first 2 dialed in. I'm like, all right, I can just rev. But then this 75-21-4 threw me through a loop because it was such high proof and higher rye, and so it pushed me. And now we're moving into next year. We'll have some 78-10-12s available and 75-21-4s, and we'll have 6-year product available. So, which
wow.
the blends have been 4 and 5 years up to this point. But next year we'll have 4, 5, and 6 in the blends now. So,
Well, this 7cc, I'm a big fan of that. I feel like that was just kicked up a little notch. Like, you guys have been great with your blends from the beginning, but that one I feel like was up there. Big fan of it. I like
thank
it.
you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I want to sort of get back to our loose thing with the
Right.
bottles. I didn't even talk about my second one. That's what I've been
Haven't
drinking
either.
on
I
here.
forgot.
So this is Old WM Tar Manchester Reserve. I was actually, speaking of other bottles I couldn't find, there's a 114 proof. It's a black, more of a black label, and I like that one because of the proof. This is 104, which is no slouch, but I like the 114 more. But I couldn't find it, so I got the 104 proof. But I picked this one for a couple reasons. One, because it's a Lexington distillery. I mean, it's an NDP right now. They will be distilling, but this stuff is sourced. But they were very transparent about it. They put the age and the mash bill here on the back. So for those of you with Google at home, you can Google 37% corn, 51% rye, 12% malted barley, and that's an 8-year. You can also Google a bourbon that is 75% corn, 13 rye, and 12% malted barley. So that's an 8-year rye and a 7-year bourbon put on top of each other. Almost like it was a mistake that then became a good idea that we may have had in previous years.
Yeah, was that Forgiven or Unforgiven or
What? What? Come on. Cut the feed. Cut the feed. Yeah. I forgive you. You're forgiven.
now I'm forgiven. Okay, I did like that bottle, the tar that I've had that one. That's really good. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And we last week at our meetup we did our first ever pick at Tar.
Now,
So it'll be
are they
single
keeping
barrel.
the tar name? Because I saw like where it's like RD1 or something.
Yeah,
Distillery or
RD1
something.
Registered Distillery 1. Yeah, that's on the top of their bottle there. So they are
Okay.
RD1. This expression, I guess, is
Gotcha. Just be
Tar,
one
and then
brand
also
then.
Manchester Reserve. But it's all under the RD1 Distillery. Yeah,
I got you.
yeah. So that's right here in Lexington, and it's a cool little place. And it was a really good pick experience. We picked a good one with our largest pick audience ever. We had like 29 people in this
Holy
pick,
cow.
and they accommodated us. So
What
for
was
that
their
alone,
process like?
we had just four in front of us. For that group of people, we brought a lot of Glens because you can't expect them to have that many Glens. So, but yeah, it was just there on Manchester Street here in Lexington, and we were asked by Barry. He said, "Do you want to only be picking from Kentucky straight bourbons? Do you want finished?" We said, "Whatever you think is the best right now. We want it, and we don't want to know what's what." And that's how it was. And some they weren't like so finished that it was just screaming, "Hey, this is a finished whiskey. This is a straight bourbon." But it was a really good experience, and everyone had a good time. Good time. What about
It's
your
always
second bottle?
important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
my second bottle is, as you'll see from the fill level, is one I keep drinking quite a bit. This is Frank August. Gosh, I'm bad at
There
line.
you are.
There it is.
Yeah.
Um, so it's
Oh,
got the.
yeah. Hmm.
So this is a brand from California. Um, a guy, Jonathan Crocker, who's now I've kind of started a friendship with, because he sent us the bottle and I was intrigued by it because it's one of those things you're like, okay, it's pretty packaging from California. It's Kentucky. I was like, it's something I didn't want to like, you know. And but then I got to know Jonathan, and then I tasted the whiskey, and I really like what they're doing. The bourbon's fantastic. It's 100 proof. It's Kentucky straight bourbon. I believe these are around 5 years old, and they're coming from Kentucky, from one of the distilleries that got purchased, this past year in Kentucky. So there's three of them, three contract distilleries. So I can't tell you which one, but there's three of them that got purchased this year. But that's all I can tell you. But
Yeah.
no, I think they got a good plan. They got some fantastic team working on it. Jonathan comes from the branding and design kind of background, but has an appreciation for Kentucky and history and just Americana, like American history and like American iconography and stuff. So I'm excited for the brand, and I think it's going to help relate bourbon to more of a, that high-end consumer, fashionable, kind of trendy, it's not just like so I think it's going to be a good way to bridge the gap to people, say in New York or California, that will like the packaging, then taste the bourbon, then be like, okay, this is good stuff. And I every time I drink it, it's like I get this like crunch berry flavor. It's like got this. It's just so good. It's
Okay.
really balanced.
Since you said that, I was gonna let it go. My buddy Chad, different Chad, not me. I'm not talking about myself in the third person. He has a bottle of it, and he actually brought it over today, and I left it upstairs. So I was gonna be like, it's fine. I'll just. But since you said that, I'm like, now I need to go grab it. So I'm going to solo you, and you can answer this question. Which 3 sold is the question. So I'll be right back.
Which 3 sold? What, help me out on the... Oh, which 3 sold? Oh, so you got Green River, Bardstown Bourbon Company, and Wilderness Trail that have sold this year. That were the 3 contract distiller facilities. So it's one of those 3s. See, this is why I'm not good at the comments. I forget what I even talked about or what I even asked. But yes, that's thank you for that clarification. But yeah, it's fascinating that these contract distilleries, when Bardstown Bourbon Company bought a cornfield in Bardstown and they talked about what they were going to do, I was like, this is insane. Like, this will never work. And that was, I mean, look at how much money they sold for, and now Green River and then Wilderness Trail. It's fascinating.
I'm back.
You're back.
How do you do? How do you do, folks? Was he a good co-host by himself? I'm sure he was.
Well, I was like, which 3 sold? What does he mean by that? Or what are they?
Oh, it was a bit of a.
Distillery.
Oh, okay, sorry. I gave you no context except which 3 sold.
But they took care of me, so they got it.
Okay, good. They're a good chat, They're a good chat. They're really good. Yeah, you said crunch berries, and that's once I heard that, I was like, no, I gotta go grab this.
Or at least that's the way my bottle tastes. It's got, this like real nice honey component, but then it's got this like real sweet cereal berry kind of flavor.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a very minimalistic bottle. Even has a hard time focusing because of it. But
the cool thing is you can actually pull this back label off. It peels off real easy.
Really?
And then the paper label, and you can make it a decanter, if you want to fill it up with
stuff.
Sweet.
I'm gonna cut it and make it a candle. That's what I'm gonna do with it.
Or a lamp.
Or I'll cut it and Sarah will make the candle more accurately. Yeah, hold on one second, sorry. Where's the button? Nope, that's not it. Anyway, sorry. This is bad airtime.
It's all good.
Mm.
She checking in on you?
No, not even. She doesn't even know him. No, I'm kidding. She was in here earlier. Yeah, I know which of those 3 it's said to be, and I don't get that distillery on the taste, but
no,
it's their, or they brought a mash bill to them to have them distill specifically that mash bill, correct?
Yeah, correct. They contract distilled through them to make it, because if you try their everyday brand and then try it against this, it's night and day difference.
Yeah, completely. Crunch berries. I get some blueberry, but
well, I guess a crunch berry could have blueberry in there, right? Or blueberry?
No, I'm kidding. Crunch berry, I can kind of see that. Yeah, but I gotta give credit where credit's due. My buddy Chad, My Daily Bourbon on Instagram, he kind of left me with a goodie bag of things to try and get back to him. So we got some rare characters from, I think these are the, Bourbon Outfitters picks, and the Fortuna.
Oh yeah,
which is also the rare character guys. So, new things to try.
Have you had the Fortuna yet?
I had it today. Yeah, I think we had it at the St. Louis Bourbon Festival a couple weekends ago. They were there, and I think we had a pour of it there. But haven't bought a bottle, but I think I will now, because it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, if you like,
But yeah,
pretty sure that's Heaven Hill, 6-year Heaven Hill, proofed whatever it's proofed at. Was it proofed at?
the Fortuna,
Yeah,
it's 102. 102.
102. Yeah, because Andy
Yeah.
Shapiro is now part of um, that endeavor. So yeah,
Oh, really?
they got a good pipeline of barrels.
Oh.
Yeah,
Nice.
we
I
just
kind of
have
wanted
Kenny, and so no pipeline of those barrels. But
since we were talking about acquisitions, first of all, are you still hard on that? What was it? Just under 600 million that you would sell for? Is it 599? 599 million?
I'll take
Or
like 1 million at this point.
wow. You know what? I think that would be careful. Someone will hold you to that.
No,
And
599 would be
saying,
a good number. Would be a good starting point.
that would be that would be good, right? I
I
wanted to
mean,
find. Good.
oh no, it's like, yeah, just looking at well, we're I talk too much and share too much, but we we have, I guess, I don't know, 20, almost 3,000 barrels in inventory now, and I see what barrel prices go for on the,
I'm saying there's your
and
million.
I'm like, Kenny, let's screw the brand, let's just sell these damn barrels and be done with this because we're in debt up to our eyeballs, and we could just get out from under this and just go back to being podcasters.
Well, no,
It'd be a lot easier.
I could see someone coming in, buying Pursuit Spirits, buying the podcast, and having you guys as part of the marketing. Be like, okay, go keep marketing our brand. We're gonna put this capital behind it and buy 10,000 more barrels. And I'm just saying, I could see it happen.
Hey, you get us in those doors. Get us in those
I'll
one of
do
those
it.
meetings.
I'll do it. I'll
We'll
see
give
what
you
my
10%.
bank can loan me. All right,
We'll give you a
sweet.
commission.
Sweet. Plus 10% for his manager.
That's right.
Since we're talking about acquisitions, I wanted to read this comment. It was actually made on last week's live, so this person may be in the chat, and but it's interesting. I just want to discuss it. So this is what this person said. Makes me very sad that Wilderness Trail sold out. I go out of my way to support independent distilleries and avoid the big corporate ones. I feel like everyone is building a distillery just to sell it for $400 million. It is okay to make whiskey for the love of whiskey and just make a good living. Same with wineries. We avoid corporate owned wines. I would happily keep a distillery and make a good income and let the corporation keep their millions. I was looking forward to visiting Wilderness Trail, but no longer. Now that's a strong opinion. Discuss. I want to hear, because I'll just weigh in real quickly. I don't agree with that comment. I will continue to support Wilderness Trail. I don't see it as selling out, but you are in the actual industry, so I want to get your perspective.
Yeah, I could see where someone feels that way, and before starting my own brand, I would probably feel that way too. I'm like, oh no, they're going to ruin Wilderness Trail. They're going to be indentured servants to Campari, and they're just going to. But it seems like, so there's been quite a few of these acquisitions, over the past years, and there's been some that have, kind of, I don't want to say ruin the brand, but kind of deviated from the true intentions of the brand. One being like Kentucky Owl, that's and obviously that's why I think Dixon decided to go back to his roots of doing his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this industry is hard. It's very hard. What these corporations can do. So just to give you people an example, like the 3-tier system is very expensive and hard to navigate. We're having, like, our product, we have a podcast of, a pretty popular podcast and a whiskey community out there and fans that we're so grateful and thankful for. But we can't go, and we don't know the exact locations and areas that we can get our product in those people's hands. So we have to go through the 3-tier system. So which means we have to go to a distributor. And then when we go to a distributor, what happens to our brand? Well, sometimes they'll go out and put it in the market, and sometimes they'll just sit on your cases in the warehouse and say, we're too busy for you. We can't go out and put in the market. Diageo's our biggest customer. Pernod Ricard's our biggest customer. Jim Beam's our customer. How about you give us case deals where you give us, we sell 6, you give us 2 free, or how much money are you going to spend on our distributing team to go out and put it in the market? Or how about you come to our state and do road tours so that you can sell your product in the stores? And you're like, well, aren't we giving you 25% margin on those bottles to do that? And they're like, yeah, but all those big boys are paying for us to do this. And so, we don't have the resources to compete with these big brands. And it becomes a hard position where you have Wilderness Trail has fantastic whiskey, and a lot of brands their size do too. And you're just kind of cannibalized by the big corporations because they can outspend you and get their product on shelves and squeeze you out of the market. Because it's a weird business where you don't really control your own destiny. You rely on distributors and liquor stores to, be successful. And so what having Campari, does, or Pernod Ricard, or, is that distribution game. They understand it. They know how to win it, and they can get your product out there. And so while I understand her feelings, it's, and when they say sold out for $400 million, they got probably $100 million invested at least, or if not more. And then there's, I don't know how many different, I don't know their financing structure and whatnot, if they had investors or whatnot. You got to pay them off, you got to pay the loans off, and then you got to pay taxes. And then there's still, they got a good chunk of change, and they're doing well, but they did a lot of risk, and it's a hard business. And I understand why they sell and why it can help a brand push back, like Wilderness Trail, get past that hump of trying to compete with all these bigger brands. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No, totally.
There for a while.
Yeah. No, all good. And I didn't bring that person's comment up to be like, well, this is a dumb comment. Like I see their point as well. It's it's kind of like I have feelings about Heaven Hill. Like, I know they're the largest family-owned distillery, so they're not owned by an overseas entity, and like a lot of people, like, hope that it stays that way, because that's a little feather in our cap over here. So I hope that continues, and that would be sad if they were purchased by whoever. But I guess you kind of have to look at Wild Turkey is also owned by Campari, and when you go to Wild Turkey, does it really feel like it's a big corporate place? I mean, now more so a little bit because of the boom, and they're following everyone else, and they're having a better looking visitor center and everything else. But you go back not even 10 years ago, and you go to Wild Turkey, and you're like, this is owned by a big, So,
oh, I know. Yeah, that little cabin over there was
right.
The shop.
They're storing their yeast in their refrigerator, their yeast strain that goes back, So sometimes it's good when a larger company buys it, because they're like, you're storing your yeast, and someone might think it's leftovers and eat it. No, we need to get this in a safe, a refrigerated safe, and put it in different locations. And then there's the thing about the cash flow or the investment that can grow. It's the same thing with Bardstown Bourbon Company, which was purchased. And now look, they're building more stills. They're increasing their capacity, which helps smaller brands who don't have a distillery, and they need places like Bardstown Bourbon Company to contract distill for them. So, like, it's a little bit of a catch-22, but with them getting purchased, they're helping smaller guys who may eventually grow and get purchased. But
and they're adding more jobs, and when you add more jobs, and then you buy more grain, you buy more barrels, those add more jobs. There's definitely a huge trickle down effect as companies grow. And I get the romanticism with small, independent brands, and there's definitely a place for them. I think in being an independent brand, the nice thing is you don't have these big corporations to these bureaucracies to do fun and exciting and new things. It's and the nice thing is too, there's been some laws that help independent brands be able to be sustainable and be in business, like having, being able to sell your product out of your gift shop without having to go through distribution if you make your own product. And that's a huge savings to an independent brand, and they can stay small and just run out of their gift shop, and that's what craft distilleries across the US are doing right now. And that's why you see so many of them popping up, is that this can be this like regional and local thing. But if your brand takes off and people want more of it, you gotta have cash flow and you gotta have those relationships. And you have to be able to know how to work this dirty 3-tier system, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
because
no kidding.
that middle road just seems to be like a no man's land where you go to die. So you either got to stay like really small
Yeah.
or go really big in this business, because it's an economies of scale business like none other. And so that's what people are up against, I guess, in this industry.
Well, I mean, I kind of, see their point from like some people don't like chain restaurants because they feel like they're so impersonal. It's all just
Sure. Yeah.
cookie cutter. But you have to think, how did that chain restaurant become a chain? There was originally the first one that was really good enough for a second location to open, and then a third, and then eventually other people wanted to open that, and yeah, usually maybe bad example because quality usually does slide after that.
Totally.
Once you have like 800 locations, but how do they get there? They got there by being good, and it's not like people can open up Wilderness Trail franchises. Although I totally would if I could.
Yeah.
Put one here in Lexington.
Kit. Give me the starter kit.
But
this happens in music. It happens with anyone that gets popular. Us. Let's be fair. All of us who are listening to whiskey or watching a whiskey YouTube show or whiskey podcast, we're early adopters. We're of things, and so we're always seeking the new. And to appeal to the mass market, I don't want to say, this might be a bad word, but you kind of have to dumb things down and make it, I mean, look at the most popular brands, they're Jim Beam, Maker's Mark, Bullet. Those are like, they're good whiskeys, but it's not like you're not sitting here putting it in your top 30 pours for the night,
yeah, Jim Beam White Label 80 proof. Best-selling bourbon, but yeah, not one I'm reaching for, or either one of us are reaching for very often, if ever. No, I hear you. Third bottle. What you got?
Yeah, so I actually have a single barrel. This is our. Gosh, I'm bad at figuring out the way this camera.
Fancy.
So this is one of our oldest single barrels at Bardstown Bourbon Company that we made 6 years ago. And so we're, Bardstown's coming out with their Origin series next year, which is their own distillate. They've had the fusion that's been blending in some of their stuff at Younger, and Bardstown's, the bourbon at 4 and 5 is excellent. At 6, it's freaking mind-blowing good. It's insane how much of a leap it took in 1 year, and I couldn't be more excited because we have barrels of it. But for them to finally release, that out into the wild, because I think it's going to change the game of just people's perception of sourcing and contracting. Whereas kind of squib juice is running the game now. Everybody's chasing smoke wagon.
Squib juice. It's also Ross juice.
Ross juice, yeah, Ross.
Don't forget Ross.
I do forget the Ross. But I
Ross is in there too. His juice is in there too.
I think this is definitely going to just open people's eyes and say, okay, Bardstown's came and they're making some fantastic stuff.
No, I hear you. I would like the chat here. If you have now had a preview of Origin Series, raise your hand in the chat because we got to do that last week on our meetup. It was, I guess you would call a beta version because it wasn't like pulled from a bottle because it was the stocks that will be Origin because they're still aging. Because they didn't come out till like May or something, right?
Yeah,
May of 2023. So this was, I think, not quite 6 year, but it was pretty 97% there. And we got to try the 3 expressions, and then we heard the price point. Wow. Right. The price points are good, and the juice is good. The 2 bourbons and the rye. Wow. Yeah, you're not kidding. So for my third pour, along those lines, because we hadn't had Discovery 9, got it there at the distillery. So that's what I poured. Have you had 9 yet?
I have, yes. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love that Canadian whiskey.
35% Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, so you told me you were drinking it, and I was like, I got a funny story about that. So
yeah. Let's hear it.
So Dan and I have been kind of we've kind of been working together, collaborating on a few of these projects, and one of these being Disco 9. He did all the blending. I did not participate in that, but he would have me try them, his different blends to see which way, he should go or whatever. And he was down to like, I don't know, 2 or 3 different ones, and he's like, this is the one I like, but you pick. And then so I drank them, and I picked that one, and he goes, that's the one I picked. And he goes, that's the one I think we should release, but our team's really nervous about releasing it because it's got a Georgia bourbon in it. That's and the other 2 have, your Kentucky, in there. And I was like, Dan, me and him have the same philosophy. We've always talked about you don't blend on the source, you blend for flavor. And this, to me, tastes the best. And, they blind taste test their whole team on it several times. And, that one, Disco 9, that's what Disco 9 is, has that Georgia bourbon. And there's some of that in the Brad Paisley blends, I think. Actually, I know there is. But the weird thing is that distillery is no longer in business.
Then it's probably not Fiddler.
Yeah. And so, to be honest, I don't even know where it was made.
Okay.
I just know it's a Georgia bourbon.
Getting some guesses here in the chat.
And it turned out fantastic. I love those discos. Those are discoveries. Those are great.
Oh, yeah. So good. Yeah, so...
I love that Canadian stuff. That Canadian whiskey is so good.
It's been in like the past 3, right? Yeah, it's been since 7. 7 is the first time that they went outside of the United States. So this has got 15% of that 12-year, 100% corn Canadian, 19% of a 17-year-old Tennessee, which I get no tickle on this, if people are wondering. 31% of a 12-year Kentucky, and then 35%, so the lion's share is actually that 8-year Georgia, which is a 4-grain. It's 80% corn, 10% wheat, 5% rye, and 5% malted barley. And it is 112.5 proof. And I don't know, I'm going to have to try this in 8 blind side by side, see which one we're going to put in our blind best of the year. But it was dicey.
Yeah, I think I like 8, but I think I prefer the 9.
Prefer the 9?
It's just a little bit more interesting, I guess.
It is different. It's sort of something I don't feel like I can't say this tastes like XYZ because it doesn't taste like any of that jazz.
Yeah.
Oh, there was something I want to ask you, Ryan. We've been on an episode, so we've now seen Kenny's bunker, but I know nothing of your bunker. Do you have one? Is
I
it
do.
in comparison to Kenny's? How like what do you hoard any? And if so, what do you hoard? Be honest.
So I do have a bunker. It is nowhere near the level of Kenny's. I probably Kenny's. See, Kenny's got a ton of unicorns, and I used
Mm-hmm.
to too. The problem is Kenny's much smarter and rational than me. He says every time I come over, I cost him $1,000 because I'm always opening bottles, and so
You
when
know,
I
that's
get
what he said
bottles,
when we came over. He said that about you.
yeah, and so I'm always opening and trying stuff. So mine's smaller just because I drink everything. You
Well,
know,
that's what it's there for.
that's I got I do have like 5 bottles that I put in my shop in a lock away from my house, just that I'm holding on to, like
Mm-hmm.
that. Don't open these. It's not worth opening because they're so valuable, or I'm just saving them for like my daughter's wedding or my son turns 21 or something
Or
cool.
when
But
Chad comes over or whatever.
or what? Yeah, when Chad, not Kenny,
Yeah,
Chad and Sarah come over,
not
we'll break
Kenny.
the rule.
Yeah,
Um,
because that would
but that
yeah.
we just got so many barrel picks that we do 50 a year, and
That's
part of
incredible.
the agreement was we got 2 bottles out of each barrel pick, and we've been doing 50 a year for like 4 years. So I'm just like
That's
flooding.
a oh my
And
god, it's
so like
400 right there.
yeah, and
I just
so
like that
people come
math.
over, and I'm like, dude, you're much smarter than I am. I couldn't put that math together. But
No,
so when
no.
my friends come over, I'm like, just take a bottle with you. I can't. There's no way I can drink all this. It's the
Wow.
thing I'm
Well, I
hoarding,
am
or
coming over then.
I do have a bunch of white label and green label Heaven Hill bottles that I went and bought cases and cases and cases of just because I love that stuff.
If you could see it, I'm pointing to about a dozen of the
Oh, okay.
6-year BIB right now.
Yeah.
My thing was back in 2016 when we started the channel. You know, our first episode was 50 bourbons under $25, and you know, obviously my palate's changed a lot in 7 years or 6 years, whatever the hell. I just said I was good at math. Now I can't. But the thing that won for me was Jim Beam Choice, which was an 86 proof, maybe 1 year older Jim Beam.
Yep.
And then they stopped making it, so I went out and I was like. And now I'm like, what am I going to do with all these 86 proof Jim Beam Choice? Like, probably didn't need all of those, but what are you going to do?
Yep.
Tell you what, if you come over, I will open a Jim Beam Choice with you.
I can't wait.
I know,
That sounds
I
amazing.
know. I am generous. Michelle Martin with the super chat here saying, just want to thank you both for the great bourbon content. Cheers to you with my Pursuit United Rye. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate the support, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
What the rye this year has been a big hit. We got
Yeah.
lucky. We got some really good barrels to blend with this year.
It is tasty.
Not that we
It is
didn't last year,
tasty.
but these ones are special.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you,
That's
Michelle.
that's what I'm going through right now. So we've been pulling all the barrels and stuff for 2023, like all our projects and what we're going to use for the next batch of United Bourbon and Rye. If we're going to do, we're have a project, an oak collection project coming out where we're doing. Right now, it's in the process. We have our bourbon blended, our United bourbon that's half. I'm blending half of it with French oak American staves, or sorry, French oak lightly toasted staves, and then I have American oak medium toasted staves, and then I'm blending the two together. So that oak collection will be coming out in December, and then
Ooh.
we have our rye that's being finished with sherry right now. So that's going to be.
And who is
We're
she?
excited about it. That's my aunt.
Okay, Aunt Sherry. Well, obviously that's where you get your palate from. Sounds like she has a good palate. Actually,
Yes.
my buddy I was talking about, who this is his, Frank August. He's there in the chat. He says, or this Chad. No, this Chad is the one who comes over and drinks all of your whiskey.
Yeah, and you're talking
You know,
about
I
price
brought-
points. That Frank August was, I think it's only $65, so it's in that really
Yeah,
good
see,
affordable
for
range.
some reason I had it in my head that it was like 99, but that was probably just the bottle that was to the sitting beside it. I don't even know. Yeah, I kind of want to. I think I know the answer to this. The chat can help. If there is a Chad to your Ryan or a Sarah to your Kenny, who is who? Who is whom in this situation? I kind of want to know from the chat. Who do you think in the Bourbon Pursuit world? Who's the Chad? Who's the Sarah? Or vice versa, however you want to look at it. Because yeah,
So
I
you're
have my
asking
opinions.
who wears pants in our relationship?
Yeah, I have opinions that Sarah would be the Kenny because they both love spreadsheets. But it sounds like you're really the blender of the two
Yep.
of you, and I think Sarah has, maybe, don't tell her I said this, anybody, I'll kill you, but she has a more sophisticated palate. I'm not saying it's a better palate, but she can usually pull out more nuanced flavors, the tasty notes, so I feel like she has a more sophisticated palate, so I would say that would put a check mark in your column, that she's the Ryan. So I don't know.
Who should I be? I'm trying. I think I want to be Sarah. No, I'm kidding.
No, So we got Ryan is definitely the Chad. So I think he's just saying we're just a couple of dumbasses, which I can see.
I think it's our laid back demeanor and
Yeah,
personalities.
yeah.
He
Kenny
can be a
is
little
Chad.
uptight sometimes.
Interesting. No, I could see that. Kenny is me. I could see. I don't know why. Tammy, explain yourself. But maybe I could see that. I don't know. It's interesting. I think there's always, in every group, there's a Chad and a Sarah or a Kenny and a Ryan. In every bourbon duo out there. It's my opinion. It's not tested. But I didn't get to ask you this before we hopped on because I was having Bluetooth issues. Do you have a hard out? This was meant to be offline, but do you have a hard out to jump off the live? I don't want to keep you too long.
Oh no. I got till, usually I'd go to bed at somewhere between 10:15 and 10:30, so I can go till 10ish or a little after 10. So
We won't push you that long. But I'm having a good time. So I did have one other topic.
I'll take it to 10. How about that?
Definitely not past 10. Maybe even before. But I wanted another topic that I thought would be a good conversation is, we put out our BTAC episode on Friday, and looking at the comments, probably the number one comment, besides how good mine and Sarah's acting was in the opening skit, thank you everybody, was since we got the media samples, the 100 mils, everyone was saying, man, I really wish they would come out and sell the 5-pack 100 mil for $99. Then more people would get to try it. And that's not a new comment. People have said that about LEs forever. But what I want to ask you is, do you think a distillery would ever actually do that?
No.
Good night, everybody.
Well, just from a bottling and logistical standpoint, that's so many moving parts that they would have to, when you start adding in boxes and gift sets and miniature bottles, I mean, they'll make way more margin doing it that way, but
that's
a lot
my
more
point.
Headaches. Yeah.
But they could make more money, though. What about the good, what do you call it? Good grace, or the good public relations of it all, that now all these people have never gotten to try a BTAC, because it would also cut the flippers out, and that's a point that some people made in the comments. Like, flippers would hate it. You could absolutely still flip a 5-pack of BTAC even if they're 100 mil, but it wouldn't. I don't think the margin would hold. Like, you couldn't get the multiplier on it that you normally could a full bottle.
I don't know if you remember. Do you remember this media person trying to flip their media samples. They were trying to sell them for.
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Oh,
Was
yeah,
it
this
VTech?
Oh yeah, it was their BTAC samples that
Oh
they
my
got them and they
god.
put them on a Facebook secondary group. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. It sounds like when we were first getting started, but yeah, they did not like that at all. He was cut off, blackballed for life.
I would hope so. Wow. Oh my god. No,
And
I
they
didn't
were
know that.
opened already. He had already sampled them. I think he was trying to sell them for, it was like $200 or something for his sloppy second media samples. But
So yeah,
what I
it's
think makes sense,
totally still BTAC. I didn't put Evan Williams 100 proof in there. Not at all.
right?
God.
Yeah, no kidding. What I think makes sense is doing the 375s. Jack Daniels has done that with the Koi Hills, and I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think 375s are a good limited edition size because you can get to more people, you can make it more affordable for those people, and I think that makes sense. Now, whether they'll do that or not, probably not. But it's
No.
the way these things work too is like when you get in this business, you're buying glass for like the next basically like 2 to 3 years is what you're doing. And so a lot of these distilleries have, just raw goods that they're just sitting on so to make a move like that, it'd have to be years out before they would do it.
This is a good point. Someone just said this. Have the Whistle Pig, Three Little Pigs pack, and I thought, yeah, I got that too.
Yeah.
These are 50 mils airplane bottles, I think. And I don't remember what I paid for this, but best way to try the 10-year, the piggyback, and the 12-year Old World Rye, right? Like, just get a little taste. It's actually kind of amazing. Most people think that's nothing, but when you actually pour out one of these in a glass, you're like, no, this is plenty. I can share this with people even.
Right.
It really does stretch. Yeah, I don't think it would ever be an established LE like BTAC or any of the established LEs like Four Roses or Turkey, the Master's Keep, any of those. I think it has to be a new brand that would start out that way. So how about this? If Pursuit Spirits ever has an LE that goes bonkers, will you put it out as a 200 mil?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know. It's something to think about because we have some crazy barrels that we bought a while ago that we can't say where they're from, but they're like pretty rare barrels that not a lot of people have the opportunity to buy. And we've thought about it, like how do we release these in the best way? Is like, do we do an NFT? Do we do just like what's the best way? I don't know. And we've had consultants tell us, with our rye and bourbons, because we only have so much product right now, is they're like, we'll just put them in gift packs of 375s, this and that. And then, then you talk to liquor store owners and they're like, well, we hate those because, it takes up all the shelf space and it's, I'd rather just sell a bottle. And there's so many differing opinions on it. Probably not. I'd probably just stick to the old 750.
I tried, guys. I really tried. I had him here. I liquored him up all night, and then I asked him, and he's like, "Nope, not gonna do it. What can you do?" He's sold out already. He's corporate. I'm sorry.
I know
he's corporate man.
Well, it's not corporate. It's pain in the ass factor. There's enough variables in this business that you don't realize until you get into it, and you're like, how can we cut as much? How can we cut as much potential shit going wrong? Enough goes wrong on its own. Just doing it the standard way.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah.
So
I think I might.
what have you been most excited about recently? Anything?
I mean, I was real excited about the Knob Creek 18 because I've always been a huge Knob Creek fan. Um, and actually, that video that we put out is had more response than our BTAC episode. I think it's because people could actually see themselves getting a Knob Creek, because it's Knob Creek. I thought it was a little woody. Not too
Yeah.
woody for me. I liked it. I honestly wished it was higher than the 100 proof. I wish it was the 120, but I understand that at 120 that 18-year-old would be such an oak bomb that most people would be like, no thanks, and I'd probably be like, all right.
Yeah.
But what did you think of it?
Yeah, I, di- I didn't love the finish. I'm really tannic sensitive and like
So you are the
bitterness.
Sarah. I
And
think you. That's
yeah,
another check mark for you being the Sarah.
yeah.
Interesting.
Whereas Kenny is like, he's like sprinkle more tannins on it. He wants. That's
Well,
why they
I don't
call him
like
sweet
things.
oak.
I don't like things being dry, and I think a lot of times if it's too tannic, it can be dry.
Right.
Dry is a killer for me, but the oak, if it's like good oak flavor, yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I agree. But I thought the 18 was just a little too on that like bitter side for me. It had a great front and mid palate, and then it just kind of was like, I don't know, it's just a little too woody for me. It just I like bourbon for me. That sweet spot is like that 6 to 13 year old range, and then after that, it has to
Mm-hmm.
be aging on a kind of has to be aging on a lower floor for it to
Yeah,
where it
I think
doesn't.
12 is a really great age for higher proof stuff. I think 12. I mean, we like the Knob Creek 12 better than the 15 year, and that could be because of different reasons. I don't know, but I feel like
I agree.
12
I
is
like the 12
you,
is
you're
fantastic.
starting to get the tobacco, starting to get some of that. Definitely getting the oak, a little bit of leather, but it's not like licking an ashtray. It's not like licking a saddle. It it's sort of the sweet spot. I like 12-year-old bourbons. Gotta be careful on the internet. I like 12-year-old bourbons
That's right.
a lot. Good God. Um, so yeah, like the you remember the Boone County 12-year-old? I mean, it was squib juice,
Oh
right?
yeah,
But the
those are
12-year-old
magical
barrel
though.
strength things. My
Yes,
God.
that's where squib juice. Like I'll give you a pass for chasing squib juice that's 9 to 13 years old. That stuff is magical.
Yeah.
It takes on this like cherry, like just such a cherry cola bomb, and with it, but those sweeter caramel notes to balance it out. It's just like it's a
Mm-hmm.
perfectly balanced flavor profile. That like I'm looking. I got a ton of those OKIs from back in the day that
Oh man.
from that are like 10 to 14 year old MGP that are just
Oh, you got
magical.
one of the 14s?
Yeah,
Damn.
I got that in Hotel Covington. I was there for a wedding, and like they had a whole gift shop of OKI different ages, and I was like, ah, I'll just buy like a couple, and I wish I just
All
bought them
right.
all.
What'd you have to pay for that 14?
Oh, it was like $80. Yeah, this was in like 2016.
I've
I
got
know.
one OKI, and it's the 10 year. I remember going to Prohibition Bar up in Covington, and they had a 12, but they were asking too much for it. And I was like, yeah, can't do that. That was after sort of the secret, got
Right,
out.
got out.
But Hotel Covington's cool. We've stayed there. We stayed there a night. It's a cool little place.
Yeah, it's really
Covington
nice.
in general, like NKY, the whole Beeline, and OKBB is up there, Old Kentucky Bourbon Bar, and Bourbon House, and all that. That's a neat little place.
Yeah, and Brad's bonds with his new revival place is gonna be sweet. That's gonna be next to Hotel Covington.
Oh,
His vintage
really?
store
Okay,
and stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be really
sweet.
awesome. Um, yeah, Covington's cool. And we just did a new riff pick. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and then hung out in Covington for a little bit afterwards. It's easy to stumble around in different bourbon bars and restaurants and stuff. It's a good
Yeah.
place.
There was a band on like an indie band on TikTok that I follow. They was doing a tour and they were coming to Covington and they were on there reading out their tour dates and locations and they said Covington and I put in the comments. I was like, hey, just letting you know, it's pronounced Covington. Just so you don't, I don't want you to go up there on stage and be like, hello Covington, and everyone be like, huh?
What's this?
So, Covington. Hello Covington.
We're not
But
British.
I'm not British. Yeah, no tea and crumpets here. Speaking of locations, though, we've established that you are, we'll say of Bardstown descent. I don't care if you weren't born there. What is the bourbon capital of the world? Bardstown, or where you are now, Louisville. I can't claim. I mean, I know it's not Lexington. As much as I'd want it to be, it's not. It's not Lexington.
Yeah, I mean Bardstown by far. It is tough though because Louisville has so much history with Whiskey Row
Got
and
a
how
lot
many
up there.
different, and now there's this huge revival, with Old Forester and Angel's Envy, Evan Williams Experience, Michter's, you know, actually Bardstown Bourbon Company is going to be up there now on Main Street doing a
Yeah,
blade.
I heard about that last week. Yeah.
We're going to be neighbors. Actually, we're putting a downtown location 2 doors down from them.
I thank you for I heard something about that in one of your podcasts and I was like, did I just hear that they're gonna have a brick and mortar? So that's awesome. You're gonna be neighbors, huh?
Yeah, so there's still a lot of things that have to happen. We're talking with our DSP attorneys and Brian Hara, of Sipping Corn.
Boy.
He's
Yeah.
leading the way with us.
Bourbon
thank God we
Justice.
have him. But yeah, we're going all in, and we're gonna we don't know what we're gonna name it, but there's gonna be a Pursuit visitor experience downtown on Main Street. We'll be right across from Michter's, neighbors to Bardstown Bourbon Company. So we'll have a gift shop, obviously, but then we'll have a pick your own barrel experience. We'll have so because we have all our different mash bills, you can come in. We'll have them. You'll get to try them blind, and then you pick the ones you like and bottle it there. And then we'll have a classroom experience where you can do a guided Pursuit United breakdown where you can taste all the different mash bills and blends and see how they come together.
Wow.
And then blending classes, this and that. And then we'll have a bar downstairs too, a speakeasy bar where if you don't want like a curated experience, you can just go down there, grab cocktails or grab our core expressions. And we'll have a podcast studio down there. So we'll I'm probably telling too much, but that's what I do.
Wow.
We're
Well,
not supposed to talk about this, but I don't.
you heard it. You heard it here first, folks. It's Bourbon Night exclusive. Wow. I've had a few, but I just have to be real with you, Ryan. I'm super happy, and even though I had zero to do with it, proud of you guys. That is amazing. That is.
We're
I'm
really excited.
I'm a little verklempt.
We're really
Yeah,
excited.
super cool.
And it wasn't in our plan, but I have a good friend who's in commercial real estate, and his family's been buying buildings in Louisville for a long time. And this building came open, and he said, I was like, hey, if you ever get a cool building, let me know. And he bought this building, and he was like, hey, I think this would be a cool bourbon spot. And he told me the location, and I was like, oh gosh. And then me and Kenny went, this building's a dump. It's got to be completely redone. It's going to be at least 2020, end of 23, early 24 before we can move in. But when I saw it, I just looked at Kenny and I was like, I know this is going to be a lot of work, but we got to make this happen. Like, this opportunity here is too good. Because, all the distilleries, they do a great job. But what's what do people like about going to visitors experience? They like the tastings, they like the whiskey, and we're going to make it all about the whiskey. It's you don't have to go on a 51% corn tour. Look how special our fermenters are. Look
But you're
how
gonna have special fermenters, right?
no, there will be no special fermenters. There will be special barrels there and special cocktails, but we're really going to make this like a whiskey 102 kind of experience. You've done all the tours, but you're ready to like really deep dive into like cool barrel. You know, how cool are barrel picks going and thieving barrels? Not everybody gets
Wow.
to do that.
Yeah.
And we want to bring that
Right.
to people.
Jeez.
We're gonna do it right. We're gonna hire a really nice. We got a nice designer that's making this. Going to make this a beautiful place where it's just going to be a fun place where you can go and have deep dive into whiskey. So we're really excited about the opportunity and think it. And it's going to be cool too because Bardstown's moving 2 doors down, and then Buzzard's Roost is going to be right there, and
Oh
then
my God.
Peerless is going to be obviously down there, and then you got Evan Williams, Michter's, and so we can kind of just play off each other. But yeah,
My God. I'm super jealous. Also.
well, don't be. It's just more debt that we're taking on.
Who cares? You only live
and more
once.
headaches. But
Well, you tell your buddy if he finds any great buildings in Lexington to go ahead and buy it and then contact us.
Yes, I will.
We want to do that in Lexington. So got to represent, right?
And two, if y'all ever want to like use our space, for
Yes.
Bardstown's obviously a great place and use them too. But if you ever want to do it's Bourbon Night event at our place, we'll have that
Yes.
ability. And
1,000 times yes.
yeah, so we want to make this a community experience too, not just about us.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe you could sell maybe some Whiskey Ambitions merch. I don't know. Just put
Heck
it
yeah.
out. Just putting it out there. We'll cut you.
Hey,
That's
we'll put it in
that
with your,
is super cool.
when you sell out our brand, too. We'll put that in there with it.
Sweet. Yes. I'll do that. A little stake in the company. Wow. Well, that's someone, I want to put this up here on screen. Kenny is trying to get a hold of Ryan right now, and I'm sweating profusely.
No, my phone has been vibrating.
He's like,
a lot. No, I'm kidding.
he's like, cut the feed.
Thankfully, Kenny's on a flight. He's got no service, so he can't see
He's no service. Yeah, Tiffany says next meetup. Absolutely, next meetup. We are there. Wow, that is so cool. Oh man, I'm so happy for you guys. Here I am drinking your whiskey, talking about your future expansions. Like, wow. And it's so cool because you guys are part of Whiskey Tube. We're part of Whiskey Tube. It's just it's raising the it's some people geek out over seeing a master distiller, as they should. They're cool people, and then some about the people who bring them the bourbon news or the bourbon reviews or bourbon entertainment or whatever it is. And it's really seeming like there's a place for all of us in that field, and it kind of really makes you feel like a part of the industry that you love and support. And it's sort of that rising tide raises all ships, which I've heard so many master distillers talk about, how they help each other, and most brands don't see each other as competition. It's always camaraderie and fellowship, and bringing just everyone raising each other up, and it's just so cool. And I think it really reflects the type of people who drink whiskey, because they're very collaborative, they're very encouraging, and some of the nicest people you'll ever meet are bourbon drinkers. And
Oh yeah, 100%.
yeah, that's why I love this this field. It's great.
Yeah, it's a fascinating industry that you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a few outliers that are kind of rogue and
Right.
kind of do their own thing. Sounds right, but
Oh my God, another exclusive.
but everyone else is very inclusive and very rising tides, and it's just a fun industry. And right now we're going through. I grew up around it when no one gave a shit about it, and I'm so grateful, and me and Kenny have worked very hard, and don't get me wrong, this is a hustle. I work from 5:30 a.m. to 10:30 every night, and it's a lot of work, but I'm
Yeah.
passionate about it. But don't think for a second we take it for granted ever. And I want to do right by this industry, and I want to do right by the opportunities that are given to us, and I want to help as many people along the way because there's been so many things that have lined up for me to be sitting here talking to you that don't involve me, even though I put in the hard work, and Kenny and I have put in the hard work, and Fred and all our whole team. There's so much things that have had to happen throughout the industry that it's like divine intervention almost. So I'm going to do right
Mm-hmm.
by it, and I want to help as many people as we can, and include as many people as can. That's what's so fun about this hobby
Yeah.
and this community.
Absolutely. And I want to put this up on screen from Kyle. When's the Pursuit IBN barrel pick coming? The Pursuit It's Bourbonnight barrel pick coming. Hey, we'd love to
Let's
do it.
do
You
it.
guys doing that? Let's
So
do it.
we had a meeting the other day about, all right, what's our angle with single barrel picks, because we have, all these different mash bills and whatnot. And then it's like, I'll give you an example. So like Breaking Bourbon did a barrel pick with us, and we had our Bardstown barrels, our Tennessee barrels, Maryland, this and that. And they thought the Tennessee barrel was the best, but they thought it would be the hardest to convince people to sell. So they picked the Bardstown Bourbon Company one. And it's like, how many people are going to pick just because it's KY? And I probably shouldn't be telling people that. I'm just going through our thought
Well,
process.
I mean, did they do it blind, or then you revealed and they were like, oh,
Yeah, we do them blind, then they reveal,
mm-hmm.
it's like, and and so that's, and the Bardstown barrel they picked is amazing. Like
Yeah,
that should be one too. But the Tennessee barrel was obviously better in a blind, but it has that, and it's not Dickel. That's the thing people
right.
don't understand. It's not, but that's what we're up
No tickle
against. And
tickle.
so
Yeah.
we've tossed around the idea of, what if I come up with a bunch of different micro blends instead of having a single barrel. I'll come up with a barrel of a blend, and I have 20 different blends that you can pick from. That would
Mm-hmm.
be, it's Bourbon Night blend or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think about that idea
I
versus
like
doing
it.
a single barrel? Kind of like how
I
Barrel does their private release, somewhat.
Right. No, I like it a lot actually, and maybe you might not even have to do pre-blends. This is a little bit of a IBN exclusive here. I think we've told Patreon, but that's it. We recently picked a Wilderness Trail weeded small batch, and we were there to pick a single barrel, and we tried all six, and then they were kind of like, I think these two barrels would taste good together. So they kind of did the chemistry set right there, and we tried it, and we're like, yeah, it's really good, but it's missing something. I think we sort of saw that thing in barrel 3. So then it was a 3-barrel blend, and then we're like, yeah. And then from there, we started refining basically the recipe until we came up with what eventually became a 3-barrel wheated blend that we'll be releasing here pretty soon, folks. If you're a patreon.com/itsbourbonnight, shameless plug. I don't know if that becomes a little bit more of a headache on the back end of, okay, now we have this recipe and now we have to combine these barrels, and we might have leftover from barrels that didn't get used in
Yeah,
the
that's the
blend.
hard
Now
part.
what do we do with these? Da 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 da. Maybe those just becomes limited single barrels. Hey, release them in 200 mils,
That's right.
or whatever. But that was a cool experience at Wilderness Trail that I think only us and Julio's. Yeah. They've
Yeah,
been on
I
the
think it's
podcast before.
Julio's, but
Julio's,
yeah,
yeah, I think here.
but I always
They've done
say
one.
Julio's.
I know. They've done one, and now we've done one. And
Oh no,
I
Kenny
think
just
that's
showed up. We're in trouble now. I'll have to shut up.
what Kenny's in here. Oh,
This is Michael
no.
made it. Now all the good information's gonna stop.
Okay, that's it for the exclusive, folks. Kenny's gonna shut off the feed. Uh, but anyway, yeah, that was a super cool experience. But yeah, even if you do the pre-made small batches, you're still basically selecting how you would select a single barrel, right? It's just from those
Correct. Yeah.
pre-made small batches. I think that would be great, and I think it kind of goes more since it is United. I think that goes more with your all's branding or your ethos, right? Like it's these things united. You're just picking your particular blend to
Version
your
the way you
palate.
like it. And I do think your idea is a good one and one we want to do. It's just hard because, like,
Logistically, yeah.
well, we only have so many barrels, and so like next year, for instance, we only have 50 barrels for bourbon and about 60ish for rye, and so it's like, okay, we can't, we can't, we're not in a position to afford partial barrels, and sitting on inventory and this and that to like, I guess, I mean, say if there's this one barrel that gets passed over for a blend, but I think it would work great in a blend, um, like what do we do with that? I guess when we only have
You
so
make
many.
a you make a end of the year Infinity blend
Yeah,
release.
that's
Come on.
true. A New
Oh.
Year, yeah.
Am I hired? Am I hired? Do I work?
You got a
Am
lot
I
of good
working?
ideas tonight. I think I'm just
Well,
using this as a therapist
this is
session.
idea juice. It's idea juice. Yeah. That's We'll ask Kenny. Kenny, am I on the team now? Can I?
Kenny, just to fill you in, we're talking through like what do we do with our single barrel program and micro blends and how we're doing a group think here of what would be best.
It's
Best
crowdsourced.
It's a group think. What's the best way to move forward with that?
What do you call it? When you get people in and you ask them questions. Oh, come on, brain. See, this is the habit. I have great ideas, and then it's like, nope, you're done. You're done. Focus group. There it is. I got you,
Focus
brain.
group, yep.
Focus group. Yeah. We will need a director of marketing one day. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. These ideas are like 48 hours old. We definitely need
Exactly.
some input. Yeah. Don't tell them that you spilled the beans on the big stuff. I mean, that was a big exclusive. We appreciate that. Yeah. No. Yeah. We definitely love to do something like that. Do a pick
We'll
or
do something for sure.
small batch or
Um,
whatever it is. I know just here from the comments our people are for sure into it, so we'd love to do that. And
And
if it's
two, we
anything
could do. We can also we thought in doing the micro blends, but we have the ability to do. Say I do a United Oak Collection blend, like micro blends of a cognac barrel or a sherry or
your
whatever
Aunt
I
Sherry,
think
right?
whatever I think my Aunt Sherry barrels
Get her involved.
that are sweet and sassy, but yeah, so we have that angle too we can do. So it's like I don't know. So it's like it'd be fun for me too creatively to come up with, say, instead of doing like, because to be fair, we're probably going to have like 25 ish barrels that we can do in this program. Now, we do those as single barrels or do we do micro blends with them? And so it's like, for me, I'm excited about it creatively. It's like, all right, how can I do the best representation of these 25 barrels, and make them into unique blends? Or do I let other people do that, But that's the thing. That's what we're trying to, like Kenny said, these ideas are 48 hours old, so we're working through them.
High ideas, basically, except they're whiskey ideas.
Yep.
Yeah, because I always wondered, like, well, you can probably answer this because I know you guys are friends with Trey Zoller. Like, when you do a single barrel pick of Jefferson's, which is a small batch product from different distilleries, how does that work? Are you just picking one of the components from one of the distilleries and saying that's That's your single barrel?
No, it's actually already been blended. Yeah.
It has been blended. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Yeah.
think so. That's a good question. We've always
You all have done one, haven't you?
We did a when we did that, we did the rum finished and
Ooh, I love that rum finish Jefferson's.
I do
That's
too.
good.
And
Yeah,
the
that's
twin
real
oak,
good.
which is like they're basically their toasted version.
Was it at the 100 proof?
Yes.
Yeah, because I like that 100 proof single barrels over the 90. I think that brings a lot more to it. Yeah, it's really good.
I agree.
Yeah, doesn't he live in one of y'all's neighborhoods or something?
He's my neighbor. Yeah.
Is he?
I see him,
He's a good
see
dude.
him
I
all
haven't
the
seen him in
time.
several years, but yeah, he's
Trey's the best. He's a lot of fun. I see him.
he was like I'm gonna take a barrel heliskiing. We're gonna drop it out of a helicopter and it's gonna ski down the hill and then we're gonna all right, man. Sounds good.
Dude, he is the life. He's like, he's smart. He's like, with that whole ocean thing, he was like, all right, how can I make this into all my other hobbies, like duck blinds and horse, throw it in a river over here and this and that, so I can just. But Trey's a fascinating, and I've learned a ton from him. He's been instrumental to us in learning the business side of things. He actually took 2 days out of his time, didn't charge or anything, just out of the goodness of his heart, just sat down with me and went through what it really takes to be, in this business. Like, because you think and then you talk to somebody who's been in 20 years and they're like, that's cute, but this,
wow,
here's how things really are. And it was invaluable learning experience. So I'm always forever grateful to Trey.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That speaks a lot about his character. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Makes you want to go drink at Jefferson's now. Yeah.
I know.
I think we would like to, I've been telling Sarah I'd like to do a pick at Jefferson's because I really do like it at that 100 proof. I feel like, the 90, like the reserve and everything it's good, and I know Trey likes that proof. He says bourbon's a 90 proof spirit, but I think that 100 does it some good.
Yeah, 100's kind of my bottom. I feel like 90's good I like 90 if it's like an older whiskey with a ton of.
Well, sure. It was different back then.
Right.
Yeah.
But now 100, if the problem is if it's 100 or less, you put it on water or ice, it just falls apart. Not that I do that, but to the
I was getting ready to ask.
consumer,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but to an average consumer, you throw it and it just it just turns into like corn water, and
Corn water is the name of
I
our
just
next
feel
pick,
like-
by the way.
corn water. I like that.
Corn water.
So at least like at 100 or 110, if somebody wants to prove it down, they can, and still hold the integrity of the whiskey up.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
anyways. But for me,
For
100,
sure.
110. I'm looking for balance these days. When I first started, I'm like Elijah Craig barrel proof or
Proof
George
hounds.
T. Stagg, Willet
Yeah.
12 year at 130, which those are all
Yeah.
fantastic, but it's like, I'm just
Yep.
looking for balance now.
You got to think there's still those people out there who are buying the Jim Beam 4 year at 80 proof. Yeah.
That's right.
They're out there.
Can't wait
And good on them. Good on them,
Can't wait to come and share it with you one day.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Jim Beam Choice, if you come over here, you get Jim Beam Choice.
I know. It's the high dollar stuff.
They don't make it anymore. They haven't for a couple of years. Well, back at 9:20, I was like, nah, there's no way we're going to go all the way till 10. We'll be done before that. But here it is at 10 o'clock. Time really does fly. So if Sarah were here 45 minutes ago, she would have been like, Chad, let Ryan go. Be nice. But without Sarah here to reel me in, I'm like, let's hang out. Let's drink more bourbon.
We'll have to have a better long-term vision for
Absolutely
for things that we can't
completely
quite, my wife, I tell people every day, she saves me from myself so many times, and I need her in my life.
Well, actually, if Kenny is still in the chat, maybe he can weigh in on who's the Chad and who's the Sarah in Bourbon Pursuit, because we've gotten answers on both that, like, I'm the Ryan. I've gotten some that I'm the Kenny. I want to know. I want to know what Kenny thinks. So we'll wait for the delay. And he just waved. Great answer. Great answer, Kenny. He waved. Cool.
Kenny's got to be tired. He's been running around
Texas
all week.
He flew.
I know. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
Who does spreadsheets better? Oh, that's Sarah.
Sarah. I already brought up the spreadsheets, Kenny. Yeah. That's a big check in the Sarah column for you.
Well, here's the question. So Kenny can create them. Who can read them better? No, I'm kidding.
Still Sarah. Still Sarah. Yeah. I don't know. I think my final answer is you and me, Ryan. I think we're more on the level. Kenny and Sarah, they're more on the level. Agree, disagree, Chet.
I'm happy with being another Chad. I'm good with it.
Are you sure? You're not? I heard a little disappointment in your voice. That's okay.
We'll take your demeanor with Sarah's palate because she's got a better palate, you said.
Oh, any day. Any day. That would be perfect. Yeah, the perfect combo there. All right. Well, I have kept you far beyond what I should have. I really appreciate you coming on and being my co-host for the evening. Just real quick as a wrap up, just in case anyone doesn't know where to find you, where to follow you, where to check and see if Pursuit United is in their store or if it's on a website that they can order from, please, the floor is yours.
Sure, I'll do this quickly. So you can find us on all the socials. Bourbon Pursuit is on Instagram, YouTube, iTunes. We're on every podcast. I tell everybody you don't have to listen, just download it and put in your subscribe feed, so it automatically pops up there. But I'd love for you to check us out on the podcast. And then if you're interested in our brand, it's everything at Pursuit Spirits on Instagram, pursuitspirits.com. If you're not in one of the 9 states we're in, which we're in Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, Illinois, Ohio, New Mexico. That's 7. What am I missing?
Tennessee? Did you already say Tennessee?
I already said Tennessee, didn't I?
Okay, I don't know. I was counting. I wasn't listening.
We're in 9 states. Colorado. We're in Colorado, so there's 8. And, gosh, why am I so bad at this? Oh, and Missouri. We just added Missouri, so we'll be in Missouri. So we're in those 9 states. So if we're not in those states, we're on, and we can ship to you. We're on sealbox.com also. So they have batches of 7cc of Pursuit United Rye and bourbon. We do have our oak collection coming out in December, which will be that American oak medium toast blend with French oak, and then we'll have the rye finished with my Aunt Sherry barrels. And then too, I have a collaboration coming out with Bardstown Bourbon Company. I was lucky enough that Dan and I got to do a collaboration together it'll be under Bardstown Bourbon label. But me and Dan did a blend there. It's freaking amazing. We got the whole spice rack of Bardstown Bourbon Company's inventory and got to do and pick whatever we wanted to that we thought was best. Like I said earlier in our conversation, we blended on flavor, not on source. So I'm excited for that to come out and people to get to try that. I got projects coming out, some really exciting stuff coming out next year with some really big, famous blenders in the industry that I can't talk about now, but I'm excited to reveal those. I can't reveal those yet, even though
come on, Kenny's not listening. He's not listening anymore. You can say.
Even though I revealed a lot tonight, I won't ruin those before they even get started. So, but the downtown location coming soon too. So we'll keep you all informed on that. And I appreciate everyone tuning in and appreciate you having me, Chad. This was a ton of fun. Like I said, good. I emailed you. I was like, I'm excited just to be a bourbon fan and just talk bourbon again. So it's
having
me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and one thing too, Tuesday
Yeah.
is voting day, so go out and vote.
Vote. Yep.
Whether
Exercise
doesn't
your
matter which
rights.
side you're on, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to hear people complaining if they haven't voted. It's a
Good
lot of
point.
local elections, and as we learned in 2020, local elections matter. So go out and vote on
Yes,
Tuesday. Make sure
absolutely.
you do that.
Exercise your right. That is correct. That is correct. Yeah. Well, yeah, this has been really fun. Thanks for saving the day and coming on and co-hosting. Had a lot of good pours, a lot of good conversation. Some deep thoughts here and there. I feel like this is a lot of good stuff. So really appreciate it. Now's the part where I have to find the right graphic and the right song to play us out. Hang on the line, Ryan. Afterwards, though, if you wouldn't care, just for a second.
No, and one last thought. Thank you all, you and Sarah, for what you all do. You all do such an amazing job and are a great representation of the industry on YouTube. And I can't thank you all enough for what you all do. I'm a fan. I watch, and there's a lot of bourbon YouTubers. There's only a few I watch, and you all are one of them. So I thank you all for doing such a good job and elevating the industry. So
Thanks, man. I really do appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Thanks, and likewise, listener, first time caller. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We will see you guys next Sunday. Sarah will be back here as my co-host, and until then, we'll see you later.